Welcome to Cafe Crashdown. I am Kayla, your host here at the Crash Hub, and today we are diving into Shudder and my top 5 picks for March. This month, we're trading roses for moss. March feels like a threshold month. Winter hasn't fully left yet. You've got spring that just hasn't fully arrived, and the ground is soft, the air is damp, the land feels awake. So we're focusing on Irish horror, where folklore isn't aesthetic, it's contractual. Irish horror isn't loud. It doesn't sprint towards you. It waits. It lets the wind do half the storytelling. And this is why I love Shudder, because it's one of the few streaming platforms that curates horror with absolute intention. Not just the loud releases, not just the algorithm darlings, but folk horror, international horror, strange, intimate films that feel made for people who actually love the genre. Irish horror thrives there because it's patient, because it's about land, grief, faith, ritual, and March is the perfect month for that energy. And before we wander into the woods, if you love cinematic folklore and stories that feel older than they should, like this video and subscribe. It helps keep this strange little cafe open. Now, let's begin. First up on my list, we have Unwelcome. Unwelcome follows a London couple who moved to rural Ireland after a violent incident. Their countryside home comes with rules, specifically nightly offerings left at the edge of the forest, because something lives there. At first, it feels almost playful, a creature feature with folklore flair. But what makes this film special is how it leans into old world fae mythology. Not whimsical fairy core, okay? But territorial, violent, rule-bound entities. Irish folklore is built on contracts. Respect the land. Follow the customs. Don't assume you understand what you've walked into. And this film quietly explores what happens when outsiders think they can settle without assimilating into something ancient. It's creature horror, yes, but it's also about the land's ownership, boundaries, and consequence. And in March, when the earth feels like it's shifting under you, that energy just hits right. And also, a small note, if the locals tell you to leave offerings in the woods, you leave the offerings, okay? No follow-up questions.
Listen to me. We want you to do this. Do it now.
Wakewood is grief wrapped in ritual. After their daughter's death, a couple moves to the remote village and learns of a ritual that can bring her back for exactly 3 days. 3 days. No more. What makes this film powerful is its sincerity. There's no irony here, just raw, aching grief. The ritual feels older than Christianity, older than the village itself, communal, accepted, as if the land has its own systems of exchange. Irish horror often merges Catholic guilt with pagan revenants. That collision is where much of its power lives. And March is a month of rebirth imagery, so resurrection symbolism. But Wakewood asks the uncomfortable question, what if rebirth isn't mercy? What if bringing something back disrupts something sacred? I mean, can we talk about Pet Sematary? Okay. It's restrained, emotional, quietly devastating.
He roams freely amongst us.
Father Thomas! The Father commands you!
This next pick is restrained and deeply uncomfortable. We have The Devil's Doorway. Set in the 1960s, 2 priests investigate a supposed miracle at Magdalen Laundry. The found footage framing makes everything feel archival, unearthed, like something that was never meant to be revisited. What makes this film special is that the horror isn't flashy, it's systematic. Irish horror frequently explores religious institutions, not as background, but as control structures. Silence, shame, obedience, and the supernatural here almost feels secondary to the institutional horror. March carries undertones of penance, reflection, spiritual reckoning. This film doesn't scream, and that quiet accusation lingers long after the credits roll.
And may all my transgressions be washed, and make me chaste, be washed, and chaste, make me chaste and pure. May my life.
This might be one of the most intense occult films of the last decade. We have A Dark Song. A grieving mother hires an occultist to perform an extended ritual inside an isolated house. The ritual must not be broken. The rules must be followed precisely. And the ritual is super long, it's exhausting, it's repetitive. And what makes this film extraordinary is the commitment to process. The magic isn't aesthetic like we see in a lot of things. It's draining. You feel the repetition, the psychological erosion, the cost of demanding answers from something ancient and possibly indifferent. They don't use like the demon theatrics. It's grief weaponized. And in a month like March, where themes of penance and spiritual reckoning float beneath the surface, it feels perfectly placed. If you want horror that feels spiritually dangerous rather than visually flashy, this is the one for you.
It is not a dream.
And finally, we close with Without Name. We close with something subtle. A land surveyor is sent into the remote forest to assess development potential. Slowly, his grip on reality begins to fracture. So what makes this film really great is its atmosphere. You've got the forest, which it doesn't attack, it doesn't roar, it simply exists and refuses to be understood. The cinematography leans into saturated greens. Sound design creeps rather than strikes. This is ecological horror, existential. Irish folklore is deeply tied to sacred land, fairy forests, liminal spaces, ancient boundaries, and this film taps into that tradition quietly. March is when the natural world begins to wake again, and Without Name suggests something deeply unsettling. Nature does not care about your measurements. It was here before you, and it will remain long after. And usually I do a call out for The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs, and I am so sad to say that the series finale was this past Friday. You can still watch it, of course, on Shudder, so definitely check that out. You can watch some of his older episodes as well, but it's so sad that we're not gonna get any more of those. So those are my Shudder picks for March, an Irish horror lineup rooted in folklore, ritual, grief, and land that does not belong to you. So tell me in the comments, which one are you watching first? And do you prefer your horror creature-driven ritualistic or existential? And if you like to keep meeting here under low light with stories that feel older than they should, like this video, subscribe to Cafe Crashdown, and ring that bell so you don't miss my next descent into the strange. Until next time, stay cozy, stay curious, and maybe respect the forest.